Hello, hello, hello. Kevin Epps here, Digital Brilliance Hour with another tutorial. Whew, I'm back, everyone. I've definitely missed making these videos, but life has had a lot of changes, to say the least. Mostly great, but changes nonetheless. So just to give you a quick rundown, DBH has partnered with a lot of large entities like the City of Durham, Durham Technical College, and many organizations in North Carolina. I mean, honestly, it'd take me like 5 minutes to go over them all, so I'll just save you the trouble. We're finishing up our app where we are adding in exam prep courses and resources to help prepare you ace the exams for software engineering, audio engineering, and cybersecurity certifications. The app should be coming early 2025, where access to this information will be a lot easier. I'll still be uploading videos, but it'll honestly be at a slower pace, y'all, because I have to keep up with everything. I'll honestly be uploading once a month on YouTube, but if time frees up, I'll definitely throw some surprises up here and there. There were a lot of questions I need to get back to, and I'll make sure to answer those. So I apologize for the wait. I promised to go through these exhibition resources from ChronoCrash to walk through these and help people make sense of them if it's not already apparent. So let's get started, and glad to be back. Now we're going to start with the shoot 'em up template, but honestly, one of our cohorts will be creating a space shooter, and this will definitely be useful to them. So with that, I'm sure others would need this information, so I'll be going through and doing this for all the resource exhibitions. Let's get started, man. All right, so currently I'm looking at the shoot 'em up template, which was made by Bloodbane, good brother, and very knowledgeable brother with this with OpenBOR. So this particular template is a shoot 'em up where it has two different, just one levels. Each level is coupled with a game mode, so each game mode is a level, and then you have 3 boss levels. So I'm probably gonna, in my playthrough of the template, I'm gonna play through 1 level and then 1 boss level, just so you can see. But again, there's a features list, and there's a README file. If you were to, so I've already downloaded this. So if you download this zip or RAR file, you'll see what's included. So you have the features list, the packs folder, which has, I believe, I don't know if it's an empty pack file, but there's a pack file in here so that you can run it, and then the data folder. So you'll also need the OpenBOR application. So I've already exported this or unzipped this. So I started off, just for those who are curious, because, you know, when you run the engine, it creates this screenshots, saves, and logs folder. But when you actually download this and extract this, you would start off with the data, packs folder, features list, and then you just need to make sure to include the OpenBOR executable. Okay, so I'm actually going to start off with playing a level and a boss really quick, and then we will go into the code. Right now, let me go ahead and set the sound up so you can actually hear it. So let me just do that really quick. All right, let's get going. So I'm starting it up. There we go. Hopefully you can hear the sound. So I'm gonna go ahead and start here, start game, new game. So I'll do level 1 and boss 1. So each of these game modes has its own level file coupled with it. Let's go level 1. So if I don't press anything, nothing gets shot. So now I'm holding in the A button or the attack button. And we see that shooting these bullets here, I'm assuming we are using the projectile function to shoot these, but we will see. All right, So here's the speed of the ship. All right. All right, there we go. Right now I'm playing with the arrow keys to move the ship around. There we go. Go ahead and grab this. Whoa, 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 whoa. Okay. I'll get hit again because I couldn't tell. I don't know if you could tell what happens when I got hit. So we'll change that in just a second. All right, you see how I got hit and I got moved back? So just something to be mindful of. And then, you know, it's leaving these pellets. I don't think it includes the power-ups in this template at the moment, but that can, and it'll definitely be updated. Sorry, I'm trying to talk and play this at the same time. So as you can see, that's level 1, and then we'll play boss 1. But you saw how I'm able to move around and shoot and everything. I don't think I have any bombs or anything. Let's see if there are any other thing. Nope. So I just have the shoot and the move. And I honestly should have tried. Whoa, crap. Sorry. But this is looking good though. I mean, I know this is just a test tutorial space, but actually looking pretty clean, ain't gonna lie. All right, so okay, I'm just going down with it. Okay, all right, okay, I don't have a gamepad plugged in, so I'm definitely using the arrow key. It's definitely a lot easier for me to play shooters with a gamepad. There we go, finished. All right, so I beat the boss, and I think it's gonna fade out in a second. Okay, so that's how this works. And we're gonna go ahead and close this out. And then now we're gonna go ahead and open up OpenBORStats. I also want to do a video on, is it called ChronoCrash Modelers? OpenBOR Modelers? I have to look it up. But I definitely want to do a video on that as well. But for now, I have OpenBORStats open and I have the data folder loaded up. Let me just do a refresh really quick so we can start from the beginning. So first and foremost, we're going to actually look at the player model. So we've got player model here. Kind of go through these. Most of these attributes you already know. So you have the health, you got the speed. If I updated this particular value, it would increase the speed of the plane. I could actually show you real quick. So I'm gonna change this to 50. And then there's I'll play this in just a second. So I'm gonna update this to 50. So it's a player facing to the right. There's a make invincible of 2 seconds, I believe. It's one of those. Let's see. Determines whether or not the character is briefly invincible after being respawned. Otherwise, traps and enemies may be able to attack the player. So this is just a the invincible frame when you die and are respawned. So it's just adding this in, and you have the at chain, the attack chain. So we've gone over a lot of these. Now, one thing you'll notice, there aren't any attacks here. So how are we shooting the plane? So we'll shooting the bullets from the plane. So we'll see that. Death. This is just the attribute that ensures that lets this model know that there is a death animation type. So we'll go back to character details. Then you have no drop. So won't be falling or anything, because we want this plane to float in space, you know. So it's not going to behave like a typical person when you're on the street walking, right? So we want to change the gravity. This is why we have the anti-gravity. Anti-gravity is set to 100. So that means it's not going to try to fall on its own. The gravity is not going to affect the movement of this model. Then it's also not subject to any platform. So it'll go through any kind of, although there shouldn't be any platforms in this particular instance. If there were any obstacles that you wanted to like impede the process of the plane or anything, you could still do that without the subject to platform. But in this particular case, he has the platform set up to 0, so nothing can affect where this plane goes. So the anti-gravity is set to 100. As we can see, the gravity, when you set this to 100, the model won't fall or anything, and then no drop, meaning it won't fall as well. So we have both of these here. There's no death animation. There's no death animation. And then 2, there is a death animation. And let's see. I was hoping let's see if I could do it this way. Right, there we go. And its fall idle flag is set to 1. Animation will play corresponding pain animation. If knocked down, attack hits, and attack 3 will be okay. So this is to kind of override the pain and all that. So this goes in conjunction with the death and pain animations. So that's what the no drop is for. And then you got the death up here. All right. So we have the animation script, which is player.c, and the take damage script, which is in invincibility. This is pretty much what this probably is. But invincibility, my goodness, script. So that means we're going to have to open up Sublime Text, and thankfully we actually have this open already. So let's go ahead and open these two to get kind of look at these two for a second. So player.c, and then we have invis.c. So this script runs every time the model takes damage. Animation script, these are a list of functions that can be used during your animations to make animating a whole lot more fluid. So he is taking advantage of that aspect of model creation. So now that we have character details, let's go to depth. So this depth function is spawning BLOS. So we're using a spline, and the gravity function. So we're calling these two functions. Excuse me. Then we are actually, I'm gonna go in the next time I run this game. I'll get myself killed and see how this works. This is probably an explosion or something that is spawning, and then there's the gravity function that we have to look at. And so, but what happens is first it shows the ship, it does its thing, and then it goes empty, and then that's it, because there's no loot. And then let's go to idle. We have the loop, delay of 1, so it's running kind of fast. So we got the offset, B-box and all that. So we have the ship, but there's also a key shoot function and a key fly function. So this key fly, we'll look in a second. So this is steady looping over and over, and these two functions are being triggered in some way. So we'll have to look at what these two functions do in the player.c file. Then we have the pain. So y'all actually saw when I got hit, I got knocked back. So it's using that dasher file in the player dasher function in the player.c file, where it's setting the velocity to go backwards. So that's why there's a -2. And then it stops it. So that's what you saw me do. I kind of got knocked back and then stopped. So that's just setting dasher to -2 and then dasher to 0. And then there's a function called be idle. So we have to figure that part out as well. So be idle. All right. Then the spawn. So this is when we're actually spawning the plane. So it starts from an empty to actually showing the planes, which shows up here. So as of frame 1, and I want to say that it's of this particular frame. I believe this is frame 1. As of frame 1, we're going to reset the self, meaning the actual model being called, and then also change the position to 210. So this is what we're doing here, and then we're going to show the ship. So we're repositioning the actual model while it's not being seen. Once done, then it's going to set the ship. We usually would do that in the level file, but it's apparently happening here, so we'll need to look at the level file as well. All right, so let's go back to pane. So we're going to look at the death animation, the idle animation, and spawn. Well, I guess we don't really need spawn per se. Pane. We're going to look at pane, be idle. All right, so let's start with death. So we're going to use the spawn. Let's look at D-gravity for a second, and we'll look at these models being called in a second. So D-gravity. So let's go to the player.c really quick. Actually, I'll just go ahead and explain invis.c. So remember, this file or this function is going to run every time the model that it's applied to is damaged or is hit by something. And so you see the beginning variables setting the actual object of self and the health and the attack type and the elapsed time, because we're gonna set up invincibility, which is what we're doing. If you are hit by a normal to attack, that's why you saw me go back for a second. So it's taking in the invincibility of this model, so it's making it invincible for a certain amount of time. So it's the current time plus 400 milliseconds. So after 400 milliseconds, then the invincibility would stop. Also, the blink, you're also going to blink as well as be invincible. So it's going to show that you're invincible by allowing you to blink. Okay, and so this is happening in the this is happening when you are getting hit. Another thing to note, though, if we go to pane, because remember, the pane is the actual animation that's happening here. So we have the dasher that's going to knock you back. We've gone over dasher before. Dasher is just a velocity function. So it sets the velocity of your X, Y, and Z values. So we're setting a -2 value for the X velocity, so knocking you back. And then after this particular frame where it waits 50 seconds, then 50 milliseconds, then we're going to stop the plane. But once it stops the plane, there's a be idle here, which is probably getting rid of the blink that's happening here. So because we don't see where blink is being turned off. So we're going to see, let's look at be idle to see if that actually turns the blink off, because we never saw that get turned off. So be idle. So it's not in this file, so that means it's probably in the header. So we see the scripts library basic and spawn. So it's probably basic. I'll open up spawn as well though, but it's probably basic. Basic. Let me do a search again. Be idle. Yep. Okay. So in this case, so the blink, we'll just keep going. So self, we're now changing this to idle. So that's all we're doing in this function. We're just forcing the model to use the idle animation. But again, we're not seeing where blink is being turned off, which is interesting. Now, perhaps the blink, I need to look this up, but maybe the blink is coupled with the invincible functionality. So this coupled together. So once this invincibility ends in 400 milliseconds, then this would go to 0 as well. I'm just going to do a quick search, though. I think that's probably the case, though. Yep, that's the case. No, I'm going to do one more thing. So I'm going to do a find in file, sorry. And then blink. Yep. So it's coupled together. All right. Yeah, that's what's going on here. All right. So it's coupled together, and then it'll turn off when invincibility turns off. Okay, cool. So we have that. Now let's go to idle. So idle, we have a key shoot, we have a beam, and then we have these 4 parameters, and then also key fly. So let's look at key for a second. So if we look at the top of the player.c function, there's a key int, or key initiation, if you will, or initializer. So these keys are being tracked. And this is if you haven't downloaded those script functions that a lot of people have used, I believe there's a resource even uploaded if you don't have it. But there should be a resource for the player that has like all these different functions that kind of overwrite what's currently in OpenBOR to make things a little bit more fluid, and allows you to be a little bit more advanced with how you approach development for OpenBOR. So we got key int, where you're basically tracking multiple keys. So when the next time I turn this on, I'm gonna try these keys here, because what you're doing is also tracking UDLRF to track up, down, left, right. Before I was using the arrow keys, I'm gonna try to use U and D, L, and R to see what happens instead of ASWD, I think. I usually don't use the letters on the keyboard for my movement. Then we have F, forward, and changing directions based on if they are going forward or not. Then you have the backwards. That's if it's required. So this is the typical function that comes with this. Go idle if you're not pressing anything. So that's what the key init is for. Then you have key move. So this is actually changing the velocity. So right now you're only tracking what's being pressed. Then there's a move. So the float velocity, if you apply the key move somewhere, which it probably is being applied somewhere, but you can apply whatever the velocity is based on the keys being pressed. So then you have the key fly. So key fly is the function that's listed here at line number 7, and we're passing through 2 as the parameter. So the parameter is the velocity, and so we are getting the information about the model. We have the X direction and the Y direction, which are the 2 variables that would supply the velocity that we're going to pass down in line 91. Here we are tracking yet again the left and right and up and down, and so these would apply either a negative velocity or a positive velocity based on which direction you're going, and then based on that direction it would apply that velocity at line 91. So that's what key fly is doing. But let's also look at key shoot. Let's look at key shoot real quick. So we'll this one. Key shoot. So this is all right, and he actually has some notes here to tell you. Shoot projectile forward, only fires if attacker 1 is held. So we're going to look at how that's happening. So key shoot, you have, so beam is going to represent a model that we're going to look at in a second. So this is the model or shot, if you will, and then you have the X velocity, the X value, the Y value, the velocity, and the time. So we're gonna look at what all these mean in just a second. So if we scroll down again, it's getting the information about the model that is calling this function. So in our case, this would be the plain model calling the function. So we're grabbing self, the phase, the index, the player index, and then you have a shoot sample that is loading in that it'll probably play once the shooting of the projectile happens. So, and then if you've pressed the attacked and the phase is not equal to 0 or null, and the phase is underneath the elapsed time, you set the entity variable or variant to null, because we're talking about the T phase, and you're setting the T phase to null. So this is a counting system, pretty much what I thought. This is a counting system that determines how often you're going to shoot. So when you're holding this in, if it's not null, you're going to set it to null. When it's null, you're going to then play the sound effects that you loaded here in 250. Set the time for how long you want this to remain not null, if you will. And so then you're going to shoot the particular shot using the shooter angle function, which we'll look at in a second. Shooter angle function, you're passing through the shot model, the DX, the DY, and the velocity, and 0. So time just dictates how often your shot is going to go off. And so I'm actually going to change this to, let's say 1. And I got the speed to 50, and I have the time to 10 instead of, what did I have, 50 before? Oh, well. Yeah, I think I had 50 or 40, one of them two. All right, so, or I think it was 30. Okay, so now that we have this, let's look at shooter angle. Let's see if we can, and this is actually in, I was hoping I could use, all right, I just have to click here. All right, so we're gonna go to shooter angle, which is in spawn.h. So shooter angle is you pass through, like I said, the shot, the DX, DY, velocity, and angle. The angle was set to 0, so it means it's only gonna look straight. So you can set the angle to whatever, which is why you were able to see the 3 shots from the boss, where you had the one in the middle, one going diagonally up, and one going down. Okay, so you have again the self of the one who's calling this, and then you have the direction that you want it to go, and then the angle. So you're getting the cosine and the sine of each to determine what angle to give it. So it's just calculating this information for you through this sine and cosine. Then you have the V shot. So V shot variable is then going to take in shooter. Let's look at this one real quick. Let's shooter here. So that's at 124. So we'll look at shooter in a second. So it's going to take in, and it's probably going to be a spawn. We'll see. V shot is probably going to be a spawn. So V shot direction equals 1. So when the direction is equal to 1, 360 is just a flat surface, right? So the 360 angle, 360 minus angle, I mean. And if the angle is greater than 360, then you determine how you determine the angle based on if it's larger or below 0. So you determine it based on that, because you know you can have a 520 and it's going to be a certain angle. So then you have the change draw method, which is going to rotate that V shot that was outputted from this particular function. And again, I'm assuming it's probably going to be a spawn. And then you have the V shot. You're returning that V shot in the player.c function that is calling this. So let's look at shooter. So yeah, so we're going down a little bit of a hole here. So the shooter again has very similar parameters: shot, dx, dy, vx, velocity x and velocity y. I mean, yep, like I said, spawn. All right, so you have the self, you got the direction that you're of the self, you got the v shot that you're declaring in this function. Then you're going to based on the direction of the said projectile, if you will, or model, you're gonna change the x velocity based on which it's facing, which it says. Then you are able to take the spawn. You're gonna spawn out this. So you're basically loading in the model in this game. So we're not actually using the projectile function. The way you actually have this going about, actually, it's probably smoother, because there's a projectile function you can use too. But the way you went about it actually looks even smoother. So spawn or 1, you are loading this with the x and y value and 0. And then you're going to change the entity type of this model that you have loaded in. Change the velocity to match the Vx or the Vy and the Vy. So the Vx, whatever value is put in here, and I believe it's probably going to be the 15. And then you have the Y, which is going to be 0. And then you're going to reset the V shot model and then return this V shot. So if we scroll back down here to shooter angle, so we saw what happened here, right? So if we go to that player C, we will see how, again, this only happens when you press the attack button, which is why this fires in multiple fashions, waiting on the attack button. So it's going extremely fast to allow you to be able to set how often you want this to attack and fire. So I'm going to look at that in a second as well. So that's that. And then you have the key fly. We looked at the key fly. Then we have death, the D-gravity. So we're going to look at that really quick. Gravity. So it's not there. So it's probably in spawn. Not in spawn. Interesting. Okay, so basic. All right, it's in basic. So, oh yeah, it wouldn't have been the spawn, right? It's in basic. So this changes the anti-gravity effect. So if you ever, we're changing this to -2. So this is when it dies. So we're gonna definitely have to look at this death animation to see how this affects everything. All right. So before we play the game, let's go back and look at the BLOS, because the spawn 01 is spawning this BLOS. And then you have the bullet, which is called beam. So beam is probably in here. Yep, so beam right here, and you have BLOS as well. So let me make sure this gets saved. And then we're gonna look at beam. So you have the beam here, and you see that all of these are put on here. So off-screen kill. So once it goes out of screen, it leaves. No adjust base. So it doesn't, terrains don't affect it, not subjected to gravity or platforming. And then you have this animation script. So I don't believe okay, so there was a give score and a suicide. So we'll look at that in a second as well. So we have the attack being applied. So if we load this up in the frames area, so we see the attack box, and we have a damage of 5, and this is the size of the attack box that's around it. Got a fast attack, follow admin, and follow condition. So the condition is based on the attack number, and then the animation. And so the follow would happen once the attack actually ran. So when this bullet actually runs into another bounding box. So what's the give score? Suicide. So that just probably means change the score and then, you know, kill itself off and all that. So let's look at the file, the animation script file associated with this, just to confirm. So it's PR script. Let's look at that. See if we can just find it here. So we'll start with gift score. I think I just saw that. Yep, gift score. So you're given the score here. Target normal. If you're using the normal, you're going to give the score and add the value to the score. And if in this case, you're just adding 1. So you're adding 1 to the score. That's all you're doing. Suicide. We'll just look at suicide really quick. Same thing. It just okay, must be a header that's being included. So basic again. All right. Here we go. Yep. So it's just, removing itself from the game. Okay, so we have both of these. We got the beam. So now let's look at BLOS. So this is just a palette. Same things happening here. So you see the pattern of the models that are being included in these stages, because it shouldn't be tied to any kind of gravity or anything, because it's in outer space or it's flying. So let's look at idle. So this is the explosion, which is probably was what I thought. So this is the explosion being used. So it's just going to spawn this. It's going to show the explosion and then remove itself. Okay, so we have those two. And one thing I do want to look at is like an enemy for a second. So let's see. Let's look at this one here. All right, so here's an enemy, right? So you have the movement of the enemy, which is why you're using the dasher. Let's look at the details for a second. So it can't grab, can damage the player and NPCs, an enemy type. There's no move. So you're not moving, and you're going to use the functions, the dasher functions and all of that to move it. So something to keep in mind. So go back to details. Okay. And so you have the death and all that, no pain, no life, and all those things. Got the death sound. Then you also have the blink script, which works just like the invist script. Then you have the list script file here. So let's go to that really quick. And then you're loading in the eShot. eShot is just another model, much like the beam. So let's go to idle really quick. So we see the dashers that are already happening. So dashers that are happening here. So it's doing all the movement for you. And then you have the eShot where you're shooting the shot. We'll just look at eShot real quick. All right. So eShot. eShot, which is right here. It's idle. So this is the little sparkly thing that we were seeing. But we're gonna go back to this enemy. I want to look at one more thing. The take damage script. Let me just open that up really quick. All right. So yeah. So it just changes that the blinking of it being hit, and it's changing the color map to do that. Okay, now we did notice where enemies were dropping some items and stuff for you to pick up. So I do want to look at that really quick. We are at the 40-minute mark. We shouldn't have too much to go. Just kind of want to go through everything before we play the game. So let's look at level 1, because that had the most movement. So we'll open up level 1. So we have the background. We're using the background layer, so we're not using the panel. So So that's why you don't see anything loaded here. We're not using the panel here. We got the fall speed, spawn. This is where the ship is supposed to spawn. Set time is at 0. No time is set to 1. And then we're using background and background layers to load the screens in the game. But all of this you can in relation to this and here, all of this is based on however you want to load the stage up. But he just chose to use background layers and background, and he chose not to use panels. So however you want to go about it, that's how you go about it. All right, so if we scroll down, so we see that the spawns are showing up here. So he actually put the spawns at 0, and all of these at 0. Let's see. We also have items that are being dropped. So that's the coin that was being dropped. So everything, let me just scroll down for a second. So everything is being loaded in at 1, and he's using the background speed. So he's using the scrolling speed of the background to simulate the scrolling. So you're not actually moving per se. The enemies are moving while you're moving around the screen, but the screen itself or the camera is staying still, and the background is moving inside of the camera basically. So that's why you have the background speed set to 2. And so just wanted you to be mindful of that. So and then at a certain point, we set the background speed to 4 to make it scroll a little faster. So it's almost like a rider, one of those moving stages where you're in a car or whatever, or in a Jeep or something, where the screen itself is scrolling while you yourself are stationary in the camera, while everything else is moving past you and you move inside the camera. So I hope all of that makes sense. So that's how he built this up, and it's a great way to go about this as well. Everything is running smooth, and you saw that I changed some values. So let's go ahead and see if what we did. I'm actually go back to the player model. So we changed the speed to 50. It was initially 10, and then we also changed the idle from 30 to 10, and this is supposed to be how often your bullet shoots. So let's see if that actually changed anything. Whoops, I didn't mean to hit this twice. Okay, great. Oh no, it did do it twice though. Here we go. I'm not gonna have the sound on at the moment. I just want y'all to see it really quick, and then we'll end it here. All right. So what's it up? Okay, so it's not. Yeah, there we go. Oh yeah, I like this one. Yeah. Yeah. Now look. Oh yeah. Oh my bad. Oh yeah, I was supposed to get myself killed. Yep. So, oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. All right, so I'm gonna stop. All right, so let me just keep hitting myself. All right. All right. And then you can have these items. You can have these items. All right. Do anything to your ship. So now we saw what happened. There we go. Okay, so we will end it here. I definitely got a more powerful ship now. You know. Yeah. Back up here. Bam. Okay, I'll just finish this off. Oh yeah, hold on. So yeah, essentially, like as I was stating, the stage itself, the camera itself is sitting still and everything else is moving within it. So that's how this works. So if you have any questions or anything, just let me know. But again, man, I appreciate y'all and appreciate y'all's time. And again, I'll do these once a month unless time permits and I'm able to do more. But for now, I think I can only keep up with once a month, honestly, with so much going on until I get, helpers and assistants and all those things. I got to build up a franchise first because a lot's going on. So, but yes, I appreciate y'all and I will see y'all soon. Y'all stay blessed and stay brilliant. Peace. One more note. So if you weren't able to follow any of the things that were stated in this video, I encourage you to take a look at the advanced and intermediate courses that we have on our YouTube channel. Now, I kind of breezed through these with the assumption that you kind of had a basic understanding of OpenBOR. So if you don't have a basic understanding and some of the things that I say were a little bit confusing, it might be best that you take a look at those courses so that you are able to grasp the information being said, because I don't want anyone lost. These videos are made so that there is a level of understanding so that you could empower yourself to build the games that you want to build. So again, if anything was said that was confusing or may have been over your head, please ensure that you take the beginner, intermediate, and advanced courses. Typically, everything mentioned in this video was from the intermediate and advanced courses. So again, I just want to state that. I'll talk to you guys soon.